German submarine U-365 was a Type 7C U-boat of the German Kriegsmarine, representing one of the many submarines built during the height of World War II. The Type 7C class formed the backbone of Germany's U-boat fleet. They were reliable, moderately sized, and designed to operate in the harshest ocean conditions. U-365 had its origin in the Flensburger Schiffbaugesellschaft shipyard in northern Germany. She was ordered in January 1941, laid down in April 1942, launched on the 9th of March 1943, and officially commissioned into service on the 8th of June 1943 under the command of Oberleutnant zur See Heimar Wedemeyer. Her crew complement ranged between 44 and 60 men, depending on the mission and period of the war. U-365's early months were spent in training. From June 1943 to the end of February 1944, she served with the 5th U-boat flotilla, where her crew learned to work together, master the submarine systems, and prepare for combat. On March 1, 1944, she became an active frontline boat with the 9th Flotilla. Later, in June 1944, she was transferred to the 13th U-boat flotilla, which operated primarily in the Arctic and northern waters. During her operational career, U-365 participated in patrols that took her into the remote and treacherous Arctic regions, including the Kara Sea and the northern convoy routes. These waters, dominated by ice, poor visibility, and harsh storms, were some of the most challenging environments for submariners. Her first notable successes came during her 5th patrol. On 12 August 1944, U-365 intercepted a Soviet convoy. In a swift and aggressive attack, she torpedoed and sank the Soviet merchant ship Marina Raskova, a large vessel of over 7,500 gross register tons. In the same action, she also managed to sink 2 Soviet minesweepers, T-118 and T-114, both about 625 tons. These ships were escorting the Soviet convoy and were responsible for clearing mines and providing protection. The destruction of 2 warships and a larger merchant vessel marked one of U-365's most significant achievements. This success demonstrated both Commander Wedemeyer's skill and the dangerous potential a single U-boat still possessed in 1944, even as the Allied powers were rapidly increasing their anti-submarine capabilities through aircraft patrols, radar, and more advanced escort ships. After these victories, U-365 continued operating in the northern seas. These areas were strategically important because the Western Allies relied heavily on Arctic convoys to deliver military supplies to the Soviet Union. On the 18th of November 1944, a new commander took charge of U-365, Oberleutnant zur See Dieter Todenhagen. Under his leadership, the boat carried out its final operations. On the 6th of December 1944, U-365 torpedoed and sank another small Soviet patrol vessel, BO-230, in the Barents Sea. Although the ship was only 105 tons, it further showed that U-365 remained active and dangerous. One of U-365's last combat actions occurred on the 11th of December 1944, when she attacked the British destroyer HMS Cassandra. Cassandra was escorting Arctic convoy RA-62 when U-365 launched an acoustic homing torpedo, a weapon designed to track and follow the noise of a ship's propellers. The torpedo struck Cassandra and blew off her bow. The damage was severe, and the destroyer was nearly lost, but the crew managed to save the vessel. Cassandra was later towed to safety by other Allied ships and eventually repaired. Even though the destroyer survived, U-365's attack demonstrated that German U-boats still posed a real threat late in the war. However, this attack also revealed U-365's presence in the area. Allied aircraft and ships quickly intensified their search for the submarine. The Arctic region, despite its extreme weather, was heavily monitored by Allied forces by late 1944. Escort carriers patrolled the convoy routes with Swordfish torpedo bombers, slow, old-fashioned-looking biplanes that nonetheless excelled in anti-submarine warfare due to their ability to fly low and slow over the sea. On 13 December 1944, Just 2 days after damaging HMS Cassandra, U-365 was discovered east of Jan Mayen Island by Swordfish aircraft from the British escort carrier HMS Campania. The planes attacked using depth charges, a weapon that could shatter a submarine's hull even without a direct hit. U-365 was overwhelmed and sunk with all hands. All 50 men aboard died in the freezing waters of the Norwegian Sea. There were no survivors. U-365 had completed 8 patrols during her career. She sank 1 large merchant ship and 3 small warships and damaged 1 British destroyer. She also participated in 6 different wolf packs, groups of submarines that coordinated attacks on Allied convoys. These wolf packs had names such as Trutz, Greif, Zorn, Grim, Panther, and Steer. By the time U-365 joined these operations, however, the Wolfpack strategy was already becoming increasingly ineffective. Allied technology and tactics had improved dramatically, and submarines like U-365 faced overwhelming pressure from aircraft, radar, sonar, and escort vessels. The story of U-365 mirrors the larger fate of the German U-boat arm. Early in the war, U-boats roamed the oceans with deadly efficiency, sinking thousands of tons of Allied shipping. But as the war progressed, Allied defenses grew stronger. By 1944, a U-boat's chances of survival were increasingly slim. U-365's brief string of successes in the Arctic was one of the last moments when a German submarine could still strike meaningful blows against the Allies. Yet these victories came at a high cost and were immediately followed by relentless counterattacks. U-365's final patrol ended in tragedy, but her story reflects the courage, endurance, and skill of the men who served aboard submarines during World War II. Their missions took them into deadly waters, under constant threat from aircraft and ships, and into some of the most unforgiving environments on Earth. The wreck of U-365 now rests at the bottom of the Norwegian Sea, a silent memorial to the 50 men who never returned. Her history is ultimately one of determination and danger, a late-war U-boat fighting against overwhelming odds, achieving several notable successes, only to meet the same fate that claimed so many submarines in the final phase of the Battle of the Atlantic and the Arctic convoy campaigns. U-365's story is a powerful reminder of the brutal nature of submarine warfare and the human lives that were lost beneath the icy waves.